cases. I don't have enough past clients that are going to come back and hire me just on a referral basis, so it's not going to work just to sit here and do great work on cases. We're going to have to figure out other pieces of the business, marketing, kind of building your referral network, hiring the right staff. There's a lot more to the business. Finding space to live. Closet wasn't going to work out long term, so there's a lot that went into kind of having that widening of horizons as far as this is what my concentration's got to be. It's not going to be the law, it's got to be the business of law.
Yeah. Just as a follow-up question, thank you, that was a great answer. So I guess since I want to start my own business, it's going to be in a concentrated field, homeopathic healthcare. But are you saying that I should focus on all the needs of the business first, or I guess like concentrating on exactly what I'm going to sell and exactly what I'm going to target?
Let me kind of maybe liken it. I don't know that industry very well, so let me kind of maybe try to put it in something that I can maybe speak to. Let's say somebody wants to be going to become a chiropractor. So they really enjoy working with people, doing the adjustments, working on their back. They love interaction with patients. That person may be better, and again, unless they're going to change their viewpoint of how they do this, that person may be better going into a chiropractic practice and basically having the ability to be an employee that the only thing that you have to focus on is the patient. That's all that my focus is. If you're going to run a chiropractic business, then there's a lot of other things that you have to consider. What equipment are we gonna get? How are we going to get a patient, somebody to find out about us? What are the legal ramifications of what we're doing here as a business? So I don't think that it's necessarily, and you can run a business without having a lot of employees, without having a lot of overhead. But to me, if you're going to be a business owner, you have to have the mentality that I am a business owner first, and whatever business I'm running, that's second. So whatever I'm practicing medicine, practicing law, if I'm selling marketing services, whatever it might be, the first of all main thing has to be the business itself, and then secondly the service that is being offered. So that, I guess, would be kind of more on the service industry side of things. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So a couple of things specifically that I think have helped our practice and helped kind of the vision that we wanted to create as a firm. I'm going to go through a couple. I think we're client-oriented, technology-oriented, outcome-oriented, and value-oriented. And under client-oriented, it's something that more and more law schools and law firms are really trying to become customer-oriented, client-oriented. How are we treating this particular person that comes in the firm? One of the main complaints that attorneys get from the bar, actually the main complaint that attorneys get from the bar is this attorney won't return my phone calls. He won't call me back. You pay this attorney a large amount of money, or maybe nothing, but there's a large amount of wealth or other things that are at stake. It's a very important matter typically when you have to go to speak to an attorney. It's not every day that generally people go in and talk to their attorneys. Generally something very serious. And calling people back was one of the main things that I decided through the process, this is something that we're going to do. And it has really made a tremendous difference in the amount of time I spend on the phone. I spend less time on the phone because this has become an important thing for us. So for a while when I was on my own, I was in court, and then I was doing a continuing education course. Then I was back at the office in a closing, so I wasn't able to get to the phone calls. So the phone calls were then getting returned about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd have 30 missed calls. So one thing that I decided is we need to have a policy in place that people can get answers to their questions, and we're going to be responsive. We're going to be a law firm that is responsive, and because of that, because we have that mentality, Most people don't need a whole lot of information once they've hired you. They might need to know your fax number, or they might need to know when do I need to be in court, where do I need to be, and our administrative staff is able to handle that. So now, whereas I was getting about 30 calls individually a day, now I respond to maybe 2, maybe 1 or 2 calls. That's a particular legal issue that is not something that somebody else at the office can respond to. And we get very, very few complaints about not being responsive, whereas before I was starting to fall into that same trap, and that was one reason I wanted to go out on my own. I don't want to be one of these non-responsive attorneys. I want to have a responsive mentality. So client-orientedness starts with just having a conversation, being available when somebody wants to talk to you. Doing what you say you're going to do. This is something, it's amazing to me how many times throughout the day I will find people not doing what they're supposed to do. And whether you're an employee or running your own business, whatever it might be, if you say you're going to do something or you've been told to do something, you got to do it. You got to make it happen. You got to find a way to get it done, because one thing that I've noticed with other firms is that you'd call somebody at the office, hey, you know, I need you to file this for me. Sure, I'll file it. And then lawyers, include myself, we're the worst procrastinators, so that doesn't get filed. And then you said you're going to file it by a certain time, and that time period passes. Or you say, I'm going to send you a follow-up letter, and it's going to have this information in it. Well, that never gets sent. Anything that you tell the client that you're going to do has to get done. It can't just be some magical promise out there that we're going to do this, and they're not going to do it. And there are a lot of times that I see this. It's amazing how many times I notice this in other businesses or at the clerk's office or whatever it might be. There are a lot of people doing their jobs well, but there's a lot of people that are saying they're going to do something and then they don't do it. And that frustrates me to no end. I think we've all been on the request end of something needing to get done, and for whatever reason it doesn't get done, and it doesn't get done. You have to keep asking. You have to keep calling about it. Why is this not getting done? Having that kind of responsive, we're going to get things done that we say we're going to get done, that has been a big part of our organizational philosophy. Another thing is kind of the information age. We are in an age now on the client-oriented side of things. We're in an age now where you can get an answer to your question. I have a client that contacted me over the weekend by going on to a website called Avo, which is a website where you can ask legal questions of all kinds, and within minutes you'll get responses from about 7 to 10 attorneys. It's amazing what you can ask on there. But I go on there about 3 to 4 times a day to answer a question, and there'll be, you know, somebody in the Asheville, Charlotte area that's gotten a charge. Hey, I've got a DWI charge. What do I do? I got a shoplifting charge. What do I do? And, you know, within minutes they're getting responses from attorneys, free, you know, here's what you do. So, Avo is AVVO. But basically the way that the legal industry is changing is that if you're not answering those questions in those forums, those people are never going to contact you, because before they ever see another attorney advertisement in the mail, online, wherever it might be, they've already got the answer to their question. And it's just the information that you can get within a few seconds. I have clients regularly that call me, you know, they got charged last night or this morning with a DWI, and they're calling me about it. We live in an information age where I want my question answered immediately. I'm not going to wait for a day and a half. I want it answered now. And there's places that you can find that information online. So go ahead. One of the things that we've really tried to do is talk to people, give them information before we just throw a fee out there. So if somebody calls in and they say, you know, I got charged with the DWI, I know some firms, there's not many of them now because you just can't do it, you can't survive this way, but I know some firms that will just say, hey, you know, our fee is $1,000, I'll set up an appointment with you for an attorney. And if all you're giving the client is a price, then you're basically saying, I'm doing the same thing that everybody else in the area is doing, and if you can find somebody cheaper, you might as well go with them. That's what you're telling the client. So if you say, here's my price, then they're going to say, well, you didn't give me any other information. I don't know what you're going to do differently, so I'm going to find the cheapest number below you. So one of the things we really try to concentrate on is giving a lot of information to the client. When a client calls in, normally our consultations with an attorney, not a staff member, not a paralegal, with an attorney are going to be about 30 minutes to an hour before we ever talk about fees. And the reason for that is that we get to basically say, here's how much we know about the law. Here's how much we are going to be able to do for you. And here is how we're going to respond to your particular case. Because if you start quoting fees, and I fell victim to this, if you start quoting a fee on something and then down the road, because you didn't ask the right questions up front, it's much more complex than you thought. We don't get to say, actually it's going to be another $1,500, or maybe you can say that, but it's not going to be a very friendly response from the client. So you want to get all that information up front so that you know what you're looking at, what you're going to have to put in time-wise, but also the way to sell yourself. We're the only firm in Asheville, again, on the client-oriented approach, we're the only firm in Asheville that I know of that has an attorney on call 24 hours a day. That doesn't mean that there's going to be somebody that answers, but within about an hour you should get a response back if you call our firm. And I don't know of any other firm in Asheville that does that. It's kind of like the medical perspective and having a doctor on call all the time. And one of the reasons I thought that is important is, again, there is this need on the customer, on the client. I need to have information immediately. If I got charged with the DWI, I'm calling a lawyer now, and we advertise on our website, you can talk to an attorney 24 hours a day. So we have 4 attorneys that work in the office, 1 in our Gastonia office and 3 in the Asheville, and we each take a week and we're on call. So the office opens up, we have a staff member in there at 8 and a staff member in there at 6 o'clock, so from 6 until 8 o'clock the next morning, and on the weekends there's an attorney that has a cell phone that our number is getting forwarded to. So having that constant access has been a big thing, and again, I don't know of any other firm in the Asheville area. I don't know of any other firm in the Charlotte area that is doing that. There's a couple of people that are just on call all the time, but I don't think that they really advertise that.
Do people use that? I mean, do you get those calls?
They do. Yeah, I think I had 8 to 9 new clients call me this past weekend. So people are calling when they want to call. They don't expect you to just be in the office anymore from 9 to 5. The world has changed. They expect you to be in the office all the time, and it's not a legitimate expectation, but that's the expectations out there. So we can whine about it and say, well, we're just going to keep the doors open from 8 to 5. You can call us when we're there, or you can say, well, this is the way that the market is moving.
When they do call you during those times, what's the average call time? Do you give them that 30 minutes to an hour of information?
Typically that's what would happen, yes. So if
like 4 in the morning, you got to be on point.
we do, and I don't get many calls at that time of day. So normally it's about, there's calls that come in from about 8 to 11. Normally when I'm on call, that's when the calls come in, or on the weekends. It can really be any time. I've gotten maybe 2 or 3 calls that came in the middle of the night. So it's not something that is really too time demanding. And again, we're each only on call once a month, so it's not that bad. But that's again just the way that people are moving. The next point that I have on the client-oriented side of things is that we've tried to set up ourselves as kind of a referral source for other professionals that you'll need to talk to in relation to your case. So if it's a personal injury case, we've gone and developed relationships with chiropractors, with sports medicine related people that are accident reconstructionists. So we try to get as many people as we can that are in that particular field to basically be that referral contact. This is the person that you need to talk to. Here's the guy to do on this particular situation. On DWIs, done the same thing. We've tried to become that contact point. Here's the guy you need to go get your alcohol assessment that's going to be required for in court. Here's the person that you need to go talk to about the ignition and interlock system being installed on your car. Here's the person that you need to talk to about getting community service completed. We really have tried to build a network of other professionals that you know, again, this was not the intent when we originally did it, but it's been very lucrative as far as passing clients back our way, because now they know they can call us about, you know, a particular